recap before we carry on. We've spoken about newborn reflexes that support breastfeeding, and I've introduced to you the idea of tongue function and how that could be impacted, and what to do if you think your baby's tongue function is impaired. And I've also we've also gone through positioning the baby at the breast, and how the baby attaches onto the breast and draws the breast into its mouth, anchors the breast in its mouth, and transfers the milk using that that wave-like motion. I've also spoken to you about where the breast is, how the breast will be most comfortable when positioned in a baby's mouth, thinking about being on the soft palate. And we've spoken about maintaining a mother's milk supply and the feedback inhibitor of lactation enzyme, and the importance of regularly removing that from the body, either through expressing or pumping, if your baby can't, for whatever reason, transfer the milk efficiently themselves. So I'm going to use a model of a knitted breast to just explain to you how to hand express. And so don't be alarmed. So this, it's really useful when expressing, to kind of just do a bit of massage. Remember, I was talking about how a baby will do this at the mother's breast. It's one of those reflexes. So you can either do it with your knuckles, or you can do it with your fingertips, or you might just want to do a kind of a stroking motion. So all of those things will stimulate the breast tissue to say, oh yeah, we're going to be asked to release the milk soon. So using your creating a C shape with your thumb and forefinger, you want to kind of just go to the nipple and then move about 1 to 2 centimeters back, and then you want to apply pressure to the back of the chest wall and then express. So compress, your fingers are not moving, and release. Back to the chest wall, compress, and release. Okay, so I'll do it this way so perhaps you can see it a little bit more easily. Back to the chest wall, compress, and release. Okay, my fingers are not moving. So for people who are moving their fingers like that, that can cause a lot of pain and discomfort, and even sometimes bruising. That's not going to be useful to you. It's compress and express, compress and express. Okay, and once you have worked that on that area for a comfortable amount of time, and what you will find, especially if you are expressing antenatally, so before your baby is born, to collect colostrum, which some mothers do, and I can share more information on that if you want. Just get in touch and I'll send you the information. Is that you can then move around, and that can take a bit of time. Move your fingers around and then start doing the pressure to the back of the chest walls, compress and release. Back to the chest walls, compress and release. And you'll just keep doing that until you start to see droplets of milk coming out of the nipple, and then you will collect it in a container. So if it's colostrum that you're collecting, it'll be a 1 ml sterile syringe that the midwife or healthcare professional will have given you, or if you have a mature milk, so it's larger volumes and it's whitish in color rather than that straw-like gold sticky droplets of colostrum, which are the first milk that a mother's body produces, then you will obviously be using a larger container. So that is hand expressing. And if you want more information on that, I can definitely send you a UNICEF BFR video which shows a mother. There's a video of a mother hand expressing, so you might find that useful. I'm happy to send that link as well. Once a mother's mature milk has come in, so between day 3 and day 5 after her baby's born, depending on what depending on how the baby's been born, whether it's been an unmedicated vaginal birth or a medical or cesarean birth, that can all have an impact on how quickly the mother's mature milk starts to be produced. And it's recommended that pumping or hand expressing is not done unless medically necessary until a mother's milk supply is established, which usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so the first 40 days. And there's a lot of talk about the first 40 days postnatally and the baby moon and mothering the mother in those 6 weeks. And it's not uncommon in other cultures, but and something that westernized culture is trying to bring back. But thinking about those first 4 to 6 weeks, it's really, really important in using that time to establish bonds and get to know your baby, and also to protect and establish your breastfeeding journey for the long term. So expressing, if you're going pumping, sorry. So if you're going to use a pump, make sure it's a closed system pump. This is really, really important. And if a pump is not a closed system, then it is not WHO code compliant. And the importance of this is that if it's an open system pump, it means that milk particles can move from the breast through the tubing into the machine. And the problem with that is that you can't open the equipment or open the machine up to clean inside it. And what can happen, the risk of that is that what happens is that milk particles collect inside the equipment, and black mold spores can then be released back along the tubes and into the milk container, and nobody wants that. So make sure that if you're going to use a pump, it must be a closed system pump. Closed system pumps, because they are ensure your health and safety, they do hold their resale value, and it is you'll find that a lot of people do sell on the closed system pumps. Any well-meaning friends or relatives who want to hand on their pump to you, remember, make sure it's a closed system pump. So the important thing with that is that I've got an Ardo pump set here. So I just want to quickly show you what happens is that, again with the knitted breast, is that the flange, so this part of the bottle is called the flange, will sit over the breast, and the pump set is attached to the pump. And then what some mothers find useful is to double pump, so they have a pump on each breast. I don't have 2 knitted breasts, but just you get the picture. So they will pump on both sides for 20 minutes, and they'll do that every 3 hours. Some mothers find, especially if they're trying to establish or re-establish their milk supply, is they do something called power pumping, where they will do 5 minutes on one breast, 5 minutes on one breast, 5 minutes on one breast, and 5 minutes on one breast. So there's still 20 minutes, but it's swapping sides regularly every 5 minutes. And that is that mimics as closely as possible what a baby would do when they are having a growth spurt or a mental development leap, and they will want to switch sides frequently. And what the baby is doing is getting the mother's milk supply up a lot faster. So if you find yourself in a position where you are needing to express or to pump to support your baby's feeding and protect your supply in those early days, please, 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 it is so absolutely important that you reach out and get the support from somebody skilled and qualified and knowledgeable and compassionate, and who has empathy and the necessary training to support you through those challenges. and I hope you have found this to be useful. In the next video we will talk about paste responsive bottle feeding.